How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about some double speak and hypocrisy from the left as usual. And this time we're going to speak about Alyssa Milano. Now, if you don't know who that is, I'll give you a brief, and I do mean brief, rundown. She is an actress best known for her role on the series called Charmed back in the day, about three witches that would get into little hijinks and whatnot. Used to be on the WBUPN or whatever that channel was. I don't really know. But she's an actress, kind of famous. She lives in LA. She's owned a home up in Ventura Hills since 2001. She lives there with her husband and their two kids. I think she has a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. If I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. But one afternoon, they're just sitting at home, get ready to watch some good old football, and they spot a man in all black in the woods with a gun. So they call the police on him. And the police arrive. You're talking about helicopter, K9 unit, 7 squad cars. One officer had like a shotgun with the shells on it, tactical type shotgun. You had everything there, fire department, the whole 9 yards. Now, it wound up being a teenager just shooting some squirrels. It might not even been an adult. It might just been some boy out there shooting at squirrels with an airsoft gun. They're talking about, oh, he's got a rifle. He's an armed gunman. No, shooting at squirrels. Turned himself in. It wasn't no big deal. But see, the thing about it is, Alyssa Milano is a big supporter of defunding the police. As a matter of fact, she put out a petition earlier in the year that called for a 90% reduction of police funding to LAPD. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist here. I'm not Albert Einstein, but you're talking about a 90% reduction in funding. Would you be able to have 7 squad cars, a K9, a helicopter, and the fire department come to your house because of a teen shooting at squirrels with an airsoft gun? Would you be able to have that? I'm just trying to figure it out, okay? If you're so against the police having funds to the point where you want to almost disband them, why would you call them? Why is that the first response that you have? Why not tell your husband to go out there with his gun and confront the man or the boy? Okay. And if they get into a gun battle and you kill this boy, then you got to be able to wear that, sir. But I digress. My whole point is that if you are for defunding the police, why are you constantly calling them? All right. This is what I see all the time. When you have these little so-called protests where these Antifa types are talking about ACAB, cops are pigs, defund the police. As soon as it gets slapped in the face one good time, oh, where's the police? Where's the police? Police, please help. Nah, You said defund the police, right? So you should be calling for a social worker for some conflict resolution. You get punched in your head one good time, call a social worker and tell her to come down there to make this man stop beating the daylights out of you, to prevent this man from stomping you into wine and into dust. You want to defund the police only in theory, only from the outside. You want to, quote unquote, accomplish that thing to make yourself feel better, but it won't actually help anybody succeed or advance in life. All right. You need the police in areas where the liberal claims to want to protect. Okay. You're talking about, oh, well, we got to defund the police because they want to kill black people. They're, harassing black people. No, they're not harassing and killing black people. Okay. They're arresting criminals. You may have the occasional cop do something wrong, but it's so rare, it's not even really worth mentioning. And then to all the Antifa types and the BLM types that want to be out there so-called patrolling the streets, how about you do it for real and become a police officer and be held to the same standards? Because one thing that I've noticed is that a lot of these BLM types that want to be out there calling themselves police officers ain't nothing but crazy cowboys that cannot last in the force. They would get fired from the force and locked up. All right. We saw what happened in Chaz Chop with their own little quote unquote security force. Oh, we're going to defund the police, ACAB, no cops allowed. All right. That's what you want. Instantly, it became one of the most dangerous quote unquote cities in the world. All right. You had 2 deaths in a very short period of time of young black men, by the way, a 16-year-old boy and a 19-year-old young man just became a man. All right. Horace Lorenzo Anderson Jr., his black father's on TV crying. All right. Now, if the police were there, would he have been killed? No, he wouldn't have been killed. What was the purpose in killing them? Why? Police killings are rare, especially when the person didn't do anything wrong. That's so rare, it's not worth mentioning. So these people that talk about defunding the police don't really want it for themselves. Defund for thee, but not for me. And like I said before, without double standards, the left will have no standards. That's pretty much how it goes. And they also moved the goalposts, just like Bernie Sanders. When he was first running back in, like, was it 2008? And he was saying, oh, we need less millionaires. We need less millionaires, abolish millionaires. Then it became, oh, let's abolish billionaires. Well, why did he say that? Why did he change from millionaires to billionaires? Oh, because he became a millionaire. Then it's like, no, don't abolish me, abolish the real big guys. And then when he makes $1 billion, you be like, well, abolish trillionaires. It's so dumb. They talk about, oh, they're hiding money in offshore accounts, but if you look in their stock portfolio, they got plenty of Cayman and Swiss and all kind of stuff. All right. People don't really, all this stuff about defunding the police and Black Lives Matter, it's just smoke and mirrors. It's a smoke screen. Hollywood, especially, people like Alyssa Milano, they specialize in smoke and mirrors and misdirection and straight up lying. They'll tell you one thing about how you got to live, but they live totally different. Okay. People like Alyssa Milano might be in favor of Black Lives Matter, but Black Lives Matter says we're here to abolish the patriarchy, no nuclear family, no heterosexual men living with women and their children. Meanwhile, she has a whole husband and 2 kids in the house. They live together. All right. You want to say defund the police, ACAB, all cops are bad, or the other word I'm not going to say right now. You say that, but then as soon as you see a little kid in the bushes hunting squirrels, you call the whole police force. Defund the police, but you got all the police of Ventura Hills at your front door. Okay, 7 squad cars, a whole helicopter, a K9, everything. All right. Now, what if that young man would have got shot and killed? It wasn't going to happen, but what if he did? And you, Alyssa Milano, were the one that called the police. It's always like that. In cases like, what was that, Jacob Blake, and people are calling the police. Also up in, what's it, Daniel Prue in New York. Their own family, their own friends are calling the police on them because they can't control them. The police are there for a very specific reason, okay? When you can't control the situation, when you need some help, when you need to get rescued, they're going to be there for you. There's no point in defunding the police. Now, some are going to say, hey, ABO, that's not what defunding the police means. We just want to have less money go to waste and less tanks and whatnot, and we got to send it to mental health experts and whatnot. Okay, well, I have a couple of questions for that. Number one, when did you become some kind of budgetary expert, some kind of, fiscal expert to understand how monies are diverted within the city? Okay, when did you become an expert on that? I think people that work for the city understand how monies have to be spent. They understand the tax code and how much money they got to spend and their budget, and they understand how much money is needed to maintain the police force. You can't just say defund the police and shift some over there. How do you know how much they actually need to continue on as a police force? How can anybody know that? How do you know that cutting the budget by half or X amount of dollars won't also cut officers? Right? I mean, at a certain point, that might be what it is. If you're talking about any kind of business, aside from government, which is not an actual business, but in business, your largest expense is your payroll. That'd be your largest expense. So if you got to cut money, you're going to cut payroll first if you can. All right. So in the case of the police, if you're cutting the money for the police, you're going to cut payroll. You're going to cut officers. You're going to have less officers in the area, which means more crime because you have less of an ability to canvass an area, less response time. It's just real simple. It's real basic. Alyssa Milano cannot have the entire Ventura Hills police and fire K9 helicopter rush to a residence if she was to cut the budget by 90%. Okay. Do you think you're going to have a guidance counselor or what is a mental health expert rush to the scene and try to find that man in the woods with a gun? It doesn't make no sense. Like it makes zero sense. If he was a so-called active shooter, what are they going to do? They can't do more in that situation than you can, Alyssa Milano. So you might as well, like I said from the beginning, tell your husband to go out there, dust off that old BB gun he has, from when he was 12 years old and go out there and deal with that. All right. If he, like I said, if it's a gunfight, he loses the gunfight. Hey, you ain't want the police, so now you got to do what you got. As I close, I want to say this. The left, they're full of hypocrisy, and I got to call it out every time I see it. Alyssa Milano is just yet another example of that. All right. These celebrities, these morons on the left don't make sense. Here's another shining example of them not making sense. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that Alyssa Milano was right to call the police on the person with the quote unquote gun, the airsoft, in the woods, although she called for the police to be defunded by like 90%? And that's your viewpoint. Let me know why in the comments below. Or was she wrong for that? Is she a hypocrite? And that's your viewpoint. Let me know why in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. If you feel like you're in danger, call the police. That's what they're there for. But don't say, let's defund the police, then call them. You can't have it both ways. You can't have, 90% less money go towards the police and then get the entire police department show up at your house when something's wrong with your situation. All right. If you want to defund the police, then practice what you preach. Don't even call them. Go out there with the gun, or send your husband out there with the gun and deal with it, or just let him be out there. He's not out there, he's not an active shooter. He's not trying to break in your crib. He's just, just chilling, just hanging out, enjoying a nice Sunday afternoon. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.